Haley, what is your topic?
Oh, you shouldn't have to take the ACT or SAT to get into college.
And proceed.
Traditional education is based on facts and figures and passing tests, not on a comprehension of the material and its application to your life. Will Smith, 2001. Most of you juniors are preparing yourselves to take the ACT or the SAT. Many of you are probably freaking out of like what's all on it or what to prepare for and figuring out how to prepare yourself for the actual test itself. Well, it's really hard to like study the ACT or the SAT unless you have like the study guide. But the study guide doesn't really help you a whole lot if you don't know what you're actually doing. So many people don't know what to do or how to prepare themselves at all. I personally think that we shouldn't have to take the ACT or SAT to get into college. Does it really determine how smart you are, or is it just to determine how well guessed you are at the actual test? The fees for actually an ACT test these days, without the writing portion, are $39.50. That's a lot when you think about it, especially if you have to take it more than once. The writing portion with the ACT is about $56.50, which is a lot if you have to keep retaking it over and over again. Most high schools are starting to pay for the ACT for you juniors the first time, so you guys actually will take the ACT, because otherwise people who can't really afford the ACT or SAT won't take it, and therefore they won't go to college because they can't afford the ACT alone. So the people are starting to actually take the ACT because the high schools are starting to pay for it. The actual time for an ACT without the English portion, without the writing portion I mean, is about 4 hours. That includes the rules, a small break, and actual testing alone. The English portion has 45 questions and you have 75 minutes to answer it, which isn't a whole lot of time when you think about it, especially since you don't really know what you're actually doing. For example, I didn't know anything about the English part because I was horrible at grammar, so I was really confused on what I was actually doing myself. So I ended up guessing on everyone and my score was horrible. The math portion is about 60 problems in 60 minutes. So you basically get a minute for each question, which is really hard if you have a really long, complex question. So then you end up guessing on the other ones and rushing through the other problems just so you can finish it, otherwise you don't really get points for actually not doing it. The reading portion has 35 questions in 40 minutes. That's a lot when you think about it. You have all the passages to read and you have to go through the questions. And a lot of the questions direct you back to the passage to read a certain line to find the actual answer. So it's really time consuming, especially when you don't have a lot of time. Like at the end, you have 2 minutes and you have to read a passage and answer 7 questions. So it's really frustrating when you don't have a lot of time and you're trying to go through it and skim it. So you just end up circling answers that you don't even know if they're true or not. The science portion has 35 questions in 40 minutes, which again is not a whole lot of time. You have figures and graphs you have to look at, and it can get really confusing, especially when you don't know which graph goes with which question. So it's really time consuming. According to the New York Times, November 3rd, 2007 edition, it's that most people skim through that reading portion and tend to fall asleep because it can be really long and boring, especially if you don't have a whole lot of time. So they just skim through and then end up taking a nap afterwards. The grading for an ACT alone takes about 2 weeks, but if you do the writing portion, it takes about 8 weeks because they have to read through all of your guys' essay portions and grade your multiple choice. So if you just do the actual ACT, it doesn't take them long to actually grade the multiple choice portion. The average score for an ACT for someone to do is actually 20. So it's like an average. I myself was an average. I wasn't good at test taking, or I wasn't qualified enough because I'm not a good test taker at all. But I'm really good at school. 24 is usually a high for the people who are good at test taking. So if you're really good and you know what you're doing and you're good at test taking, then you'll probably get a 24 or above. But if you're average, you'll get about 20 in that range. But if you're 16 or below, if you're not considered not educated, but you're not good at test taking and you're not really good at applying things you've learned on test, so it can be really confusing. Myself, I took a test and I didn't really try because I knew I'd retake it because I'm not a good test taker. So I retook it and I didn't improve a whole lot. I improved by 1 point, so it didn't really benefit me. So I decided I wasn't going to keep retaking it because otherwise I could save the money that instead of spending on the test, I could save for college. Because I knew I probably wouldn't get a whole lot of scholarships from the college if I had a low ACT, so I just decided to quit taking it and keep the money for college itself. People who usually retake it, 57% of them increase their score. Not by much. It's usually 1 or 2 points. You don't really increase a whole lot just because it's the first time. Not a huge difference. 21% of the people stay the same. So they don't like move at all with their score, so it's kind of pointless for them to retake it. And 22% of the people actually go down in their score. Me myself, I had like 3 months off of school, so I didn't have math for 3 months. So when I got back into taking the ACT, I was really confused because I didn't know how to do some of the math problems. So it didn't really help me at all. Some of the people who take the ACT, for example, people in Africa, it's really hard for like what they learn and what we learn, because then they have a whole different meaning for what words we have. So it could be like kind of harder for them and us because we have totally different words. According to the Washington Post, August 21st, 2013 edition, only 26% of the people were actually ready for college. So it didn't really help them at all with people getting ready prepared for college. And then only, I guess we're not really good at tests. Well, our school isn't proven to be good at test taking. So some colleges are not actually having their kids take the ACT or SAT to get into college. And according to the NPR July 28, 2015 edition, many of the colleges are not really requiring people to take the ACT or SAT to get into college. So my opinion is that we shouldn't have to take the ACT or SAT to get into college. Does it really determine how smart you are or how good at guessing you are? But the person who scored well on an SAT will not necessarily be the best doctor or the best lawyer or the best businessman. These tests do not measure character, leadership, creativity, or perseverance. William Julius Wilson, December 7, 2012.
Thank you.